Greetings, everyone. Not sure if you can see me, but let me know if you can hear me. Check in the comments. I'll wait for you guys to let me know. Give me 1 second. Greetings. Can you hear me? Peace, 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 everyone. And excuse the background noise. I did not expect someone to be where I'm sitting, and he's very excited about something. I don't know what it is. Peace. Can you hear me? Peace, Georgina, Elizabeth, all the way from Kansas City. How are you? Good. Can you see me? Usually we wear white and gold or black and silver. It's cold, so we in black, white, and gold. Okay, good thanks. Good thanks. Welcome to those of you on Facebook as well as YouTube land. Peace, peace, peace. I'm not sure about Clubhouse. I think okay, much better. Peace, peace, peace. The volume's always low. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I don't know. Let's see. How's that? Is that good? Y'all let me know if the volume's good on Clubhouse. My volume's always low. Okay. Yeah, it is what it is. All right. Peace, everyone. So today's affirmative is an unintentional but welcomed continuation of our fellowship builds on Yom Shishi. The brothers talked about the black print for victory. So today's affirmation is victory is yours. Take it. It's laying right there. As always, before we get into it, I want to make sure we open up the space, give thanks to the Most High for another day, a first day, Yom Rishon, another opportunity to not recycle, right? We want to renew our six and accomplish what we set out to accomplish, to fight our battles and our wars, right? Because victory implies a battle. And also, many, many thanks to Chief Yuya allowing this space. All the audio is low. Okay. I don't know. I thought it was loud and clear on YouTube. I'm going to put the microphone up like this. So you can see like this. And then I be like this. Okay. Give thanks. Give thanks to VR for allowing this space and also instructing for us to do these things to not evangelize, but put ourselves out there so that the other embers can find us. Now I'm choppy on YouTube. I don't know. I don't know. All right, let's see. All right, we got the hot spot. It's working. It's working. So willfully, we'll just work through all the kinks. So give thanks. So today's discussion, like I said, is a continuation affirmation. I'm sorry, is a continuation of victory. What is victory? Well, I looked it up. And one of the dictionaries say it's the act of defeating an enemy or opponent in a battle, game, or other competition. Chief did say victory implies war, right? And what is war? It's a state of armed conflict between different nations or states or different groups within a nation or a state. Peace, peace, peace. Examples of different wars. Pulling from scripture. Joshua and the Battle of Jericho. David and Goliath. The 7 tribes going into Canaan. That was, I don't know if that was more of a war. It's just Yah saying, like, I'm going to delete these people for you. I'm going to help you destroy them because they actually are mightier than you. But you're going to be victorious over them anyway because I say so. You know? And even in that, it brings me to victory and how we attain it. Chief did say, like, we can't just ignore things and expect the universe to ignore them too. We have to actively seek out victory. Psalms 98:1 says, "Oh, sing unto the Lord a new song, for he hath done marvelous things. His right hand and his holy arm hath gotten him the victory." So it's not just sitting there. You have to, what we have learned is, like, through that obedience, we do attain victory. It's not just like, well, I'm just going to sit here and do nothing and put my hands in my pocket and expect and hope for the best. It doesn't work like that. You do have to put in the work, and that work is whatever you're being told or instructed to do, whether it be by Yah, and that's through, remember the hierarchy, whether that be by Yah or through your covering, because that instruction is also coming from Yah. So for us, as a woman, it's not like, well, I'm just so sit here and wait for the Creator to speak to me. He speaks to me every day. Every day. For those of you who check in with your covering every day, that's the Creator speaking to you, giving you the instruction on what to do. And by you abiding by that, you attain victory. Whether it be that day, how you accomplish in the next couple days, at the end of the strong, when you hit your 6, and you are, going into your rest, that's how you attain victory. It's putting in, as Chief says, putting in the work or doing the work. As women, like, that's what we are. We are wisdom. We do the work. Wisdom is the manifestation of the knowledge poured into us, and we get understanding. Getting to that understanding is victory. It's the entire completion of the equation is moving to victory. I do have a question for people because we're just going to flow here, and I want people to chime in on what your examples are. So give me some examples. We say victory implies war. So what are some examples of war? Because it doesn't have to necessarily be, like the definition says, armed conflict, but it can also be a state of competition, conflict, or hostility between different people or groups. But it can also be within oneself. That war that we fight with our light side and our dark side, right? Because they're not sitting in balance. They're not in equilibrium. So there's a constant fight for who's going to be in control, right? So so chime in. You can either come in live on the feed, or you can come up on the stage on Clubhouse and give me some of share with everybody some of your examples of war, right? And then move to, whether if it's your example, how were you victorious, or how are you planning to be victorious? What's the work that you are going to do or put in to be victorious? And hopefully you can hear me. So I'm going to repeat it again. So for those of you in Clubhouse, feel free to come on stage, and I'm going to look down to make sure that I can see people if you're requesting to come on stage. What are some examples of war? If it's your example of a war that you fought, how were you victorious, or how are you planning to put in the work to be victorious? And while I wait for that, I'm going to just go into the chat and greet everyone. Greetings, Ima Yakira Eden. Greetings, Sovereign Eats, Imanaya, Avaras Kush, who is also NGC Randy on YouTube. Greetings, top tier speakers. Greetings, Georgina Elizabeth on Facebook, all the way from Kansas City. Greetings, Abba Harut. And I think and greetings, obviously, greetings, Chief. Chief is on stage. And I think that's it. So we do have something in the chat. Imakiri Eden says, my example of war is much more an internal conflict. The best way to be victorious is simply obedience to headship. When I follow directives, the wins are obvious. I can attest to that. That is true. When directives are followed, books get published, classes get recorded and released as they're supposed to, websites get put up, podcasts go out, a whole lot of stuff happens. And even you know what, that's, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because even you know, we, what's happening now, we have entered a new Gregorian year, but we as I knew, we celebrate the new year with the new season, and that's in spring. So our new year is not until later, and that's in the month of Nisan, right? At the end of March, for those of you who follow the Gregorian calendar. But nonetheless, it is by the calendar year 2023. And so I was like, okay, well, then we're going to hit January coming out the gate like a bull. So we're going to come out. So classes got released. There's other things being worked on. And so we're using January, which is not the beginning of our first year, but I'm going to use January as that preparation, so that when the new year rolls around, all these things have been sitting and percolating, and they're ready to just like boom, be released like a big old obedient bomb. Maybe I'm not supposed to say that on the internet. So if we get canceled, it's because I said that. Sorry. All right. So anyone, you could join on stage. I'm gonna put the link in the chat if you want to come on live, and I will wait for any of you who are in the audience to come on to fireworks. Right? Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Georgina. We will say fireworks. Give thanks. Boom. Big display of fireworks. So again, how have you been victorious?
The question was providing an example.
It was. Sorry. It was.
Well, okay. So peace, everyone. Welcome, of course, to the midday affirmative, and thank you, Sister Yaffe, for hustling and bustling to make it happen. So, one example that I'll offer into the bill is of war would be the choice to be a combatant versus a non-combatant. You know, so you can engage in war without actually engaging in combat, and really that's the essential solution and example of victory within the war. You know, similar to what Sun Tzu said when he said the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. You know, so that's also an allusion to the fact that the enemy is within you. You know, so in order to resolve some of the conflicts and the struggles that you have inside yourself, you can't fight yourself, but you have to also learn how to work yourself. But you're subduing, you know, which means that some things will always be there, but you learn to subdue them. So examples of victory. Okay, so one of my examples of victory in that sense is my shyness. I've always been a very shy child and grew up to be a pretty shy adult. And of course, when people find out, they're always shocked. But when I tell them, they don't believe me until they spend some time with me and they go like, it's, you know. And when I was much younger, me being really the only person like that in my immediate family, everybody else is very outgoing, loud, you know, very sociable. There was a lot of insecurity I had, wondering why I couldn't be more like them, which is one of the reasons even why when I was first initiated into Isheshe, I wanted to be Oshun, because I wanted to be more, you know, more sociable and more the life of the party, instead of always being the brooding Ogun in the corner, you know. But it is what it is, right? So that would have been like me trying to fight against my actual nature. My nature nature is not really high energy, jump into the place, start, yelling and hollering and got the brightest shirt on and bright shoes. This is not really me. But I learned how to work with that energy and understanding that it comes in waves. Sometimes I can muster up the energy and the strength to be around people and to be a little bit more extroverted and to be even more sociable and show my humorous side and things like that. And in other times I have to really recharge. So like some have witnessed at our new retreats, I always sleep alone. Even if we have like a dorm and all the men are together and all the women are together, I'm usually off in the woods, somewhere in the tent, regardless of the temperature, or might even sleep in my own car. And that's because I need, that's learning how to work with. So I'm not fighting that spirit that's inside of me, because it's okay to be reserved, but learning how to work with it, I've been able to subdue it in the most critical moments and recharge the best part of the combatant, or I should say the warrior in me, without going to war with myself or without combating myself or fighting, my nature and the things that bring value. Being reserved and being to myself and being introverted is how I'm able to produce so many experiences for all of you, because there's so much cultivating internally, so much creativity cultivating internally, and I need an isolated space where it's just me and the rulers of the cosmos, where we're just strategizing what we're going to present next to the planet, and I can't do that while I'm, juggling in the party while doing 360s on my skateboard, with a hat with a spinner on the top of it. It just doesn't work. So that's the example that I would provide.
Good things. Good things. Okay. Give thanks. I think that's interesting that you said, I can't do the things that I'm supposed to do, the things that you bring forth to us if you're trying to be something that you're not. And then it makes me wonder, like, how many times have we failed to produce things because we're trying to be and do something we're not. We're moving against our nature. And then it made me think, like, that isn't moving against our nature wicked, or what's moving against nature is wicked. So it's like, if you're being wicked, you can't produce. I don't know if that was the right way if that was too simplifying, or if I simplified it to the point where it was wrong, but it's like,
well, you can produce. You produce wickedness. A lot of times we create things unconsciously, because we have the biological and the biospiritual capacity to bring things forward. But we have so many different compartments, to our being. Like we're like a giant ship, and inside of that ship there are many different departments and there are many different compartments, and each compartment has the capacity to produce its own work. Now ultimately you want all the compartments to work together to follow the orders of the captain who exists at the head, so that the work that is produced will be something that's long-standing and something that's divine and supportive of this journey on the planet. But we can produce localized things. Oftentimes, through the wickedness of our mindset, we don't see to the global. We don't see the cosmic and global picture. Even when we start to deal with culture, when we start to create different mechanisms and different technology, unfortunately, we often just look at those things as what's good for us. This works well for me, and not realizing that when you're interacting on the world stage, that people will show you greater honor when you're able to bring something that works for everybody. When you start thinking from a universal perspective, and like we have Achoti Yaffe, and this is a code written so many thousands of years ago, but can provide direction and I guess inspiration today for people who were not originally even a part of that culture. So a lot of times when we localize ourselves to one compartment, or we localize ourselves just to the local assemblage of our own culture, of our own community, we end up making something wicked because we're not thinking about how it extends itself to the planet.
Mm-hmm.
It extends itself to the world, and that's when you do that, you're functioning more like Zion. Zion being the nucleus of divinity, creativity, and culture for the whole planet. Whatever Zion produces is good for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes what shapes and evolves nature cosmically. But when you're just thinking about yourself, just thinking about you and your people, there's a high chance that what you do produce or create will be wicked. You'll end up polluting waters. You end up polluting the air. You end up creating byproducts that you'll still try to profit from, like malt liquor and cheap chocolate, and things like that, because you're not considering your responsibility to the world stage.
Right. And you know what? In Vision, it says that we'll be a benefit, and I'm sure this is not word for word, but a benefit to those communities who surround us or that are next to us. So it's not just being like that insulated, insular community, but being a benefit to those around us. And they could go to Ray Ray's house. Who knows? I think Aki Zach is coming to the stage. And in the meantime, while I think I pressed the button right, and while we wait for Aki Zach, Imanaya is going to join us on the feed, on the live.
I thought it was all live.
It is, but on the TV part. I mean, the video. That's the TV part. Peace, Imanaya.
Peace, everyone. On the Tizoo.
On the Tizoo, right.
On the Tizoo. Yeah, just this is one in itself. Being seen, being on camera, showing myself, talking and sharing, and sweating, but doing it scared, doing it anyway, and getting beyond that fear to be victorious and to share and move into a different space. I also have had and dealt with the internal battles against bad habits, breaking bad habits, sitting, ruminating. Should I? Shouldn't I? No, I'm not supposed to do that. I know better, so I have to do better. But that struggle, that fight, was ongoing for a while. And then you finally get to a place and it's like, you know what? No, just no. And the external, I don't want to share too much, but it was more people speaking about me in a particular way and it having an effect on others. But it still ended up working out for good because the one that was affected came back to me, which was the source, and it was awesomeness. So it mended a relationship. So that was the victorious part of that battle.
Awesome sauce. You're beautiful and an inspiration. Come through.
Oh, give thanks. Peace, Georgina.
Is that it? And how are you plan to be victorious for the things that you're still battling?
Just keep on pressing forward. Keep on listening. Being obedient. Getting yelled at when I'm not. But doing my best to listen and be obedient and submit to my master. That's it. That's all.
Give thanks.
You're welcome. Babakasha.
Please, Aki Zach, the stage is yours.
Everything is awesome. Okay.
Welcome on to Zoo.
Greetings and salutations. Man, all right. It's almost in a sense when the question that you put up with, it had me thinking of just what some segments that Chief has done on Sky, right? And people, the war being for your thoughts, being for your head, being for you. What is consistently flowing in and out of what you are putting your attention and your focus to, because now where attention goes, energy begins to flow. So where are you giving, or what are you putting your energy to? And I had to start even thinking of it became the war of just all of the cartoons that I would watch when I was a child, and all of the movies that we would go see, and all of the TV that I would watch, and the people that I would hang around, that all had some sort of influence on what I was thinking and what I deemed to be fun, or what I deemed to then ultimately would bring happiness, or what I deemed of how I should start to conduct my day-to-day lives, and then wondering, and then seeing that some things just are normal, as anxiety may be normal and depression may be normal, because that just is a part of living, and that's just a part of life. But not taking a step back and saying, hold on, what culture am I living? What culture have I chose that really is now going to start leading me down a path of either death and destruction, or it will start to cultivate something that's inside of me that will start to lead me to a higher and more elevated space that speaks to my higher ideas and my higher drive and my higher purpose. But it's a matter of now, what am I going to keep looking at, and what am I going to keep feeding? Just like when Chief was sharing a little bit about, some of the things that speaks to his purpose, and it made me think of the Incredible Hulk, when it was like, how do you start to control your anger? It's like, man, I'm angry all the time. Like, this is something that just doesn't go away. But what I've learned to do is channel it. What I've learned to do is use it, so that therefore now I can start to move in a space where I'm actually giving to the world. I'm actually leaving a mark and leaving things in, well, some would say that maybe it's not leaving in a better space, but leaving things in a better space than what I found. And it's going beyond what some would call now even an imposter syndrome of, when people say, oh, just be yourself, right? Which is very easy to say. Be yourself, just do you. Who are you? Who are you? And which direction are you going? It's like in the Alice in Wonderland, when it's like, all right, which road should I take? And they asked the cat, and it's like, well, where are you going? I don't know. Well, it doesn't matter which road you take, because any road is going to get you there. But do you know who you are? Do you know where you came from? So you can start to know where you're going. So it just doesn't matter of, I'm playing a game of Russian roulette, where hopefully I pick the right road. Hopefully that this thing starts to go down in a direction that is beneficial towards me. And it's all become a hope of anxiety, of leading to things that now start to feel like, I just feel so heavy. I feel so heavy, or I'm not getting enough rest, or I feel like I need to drink 7 cups of coffee before I can actually get up and start, because things are just mainly, and it becomes a war just to make it through the day.
Yep.
As opposed to having a war of saying that, you know what, I'm going to submit to a culture. There becomes a war of, I'm not just going to sit on the outsides or the outskirts of our new and just try to pick up the little crumbs that are being given to me, but actually I'm going to submit to it, and I'm going to actually apply, and I'm going to come in, because that's a war against myself of saying that I'm just not going to be comfortable on the outskirts. It becomes a day-to-day war that one says, I'm going to push through the limitations that I have set for myself. I'm going to push through the limitations that this world has set, saying that this is just what it is, for somebody to just ultimately capitalize off my broken, to capitalize and just take the money off of my fear, of somebody now having some mysticism over a sky god or mysticism over something that says if I don't do this, then I'm going to get in trouble. But now it's like, am I going to take the bull by the horns, and am I going to go to war with myself to say that now I can now pick up certain things and certain attributes and learn the psychology, learn the ways of the of this beast, that now I can put myself at the head instead of the tail. So it's just a consistent war that one has to stay in. It's a war with themselves, and it's a constant war to say, you know what, I'm willing to submit, and I'm willing to have humility. Humility and understanding that I know my limitations, and that I know that there's certain things that I can't reach. So let me lean on somebody who's further along the path to help me to say, okay, this is where you went left, you should have went right. Ah, man, I messed that one up. And taking accountability of knowing I messed that up, instead of messing it up and saying, hey, I screwed it up, but oh well, y'all just deal with it. No, let me actually examine it, take a look at it, and say, nah, let me correct this shit, so that therefore I can start to move in a better manner. So, yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Give thanks, Zach. You make me think about like you get lost in everything else. Like you said, it was like, well, now I gotta, wake up. Now I gotta drink 7 cups of coffee because I'm tired. And so it's like we pile up all these battles on ourselves. And so then it's hard to even see sometimes, like, well, where is the victory? Because now I'm just embroiled in battle, embroiled in war. And now I have all these mini wars, mini battles. What do they say? This is the battle. Right. I have all these mini battles to fight before I can, really get to the war. And how many times do we heap that onto ourselves? Georgina asked, and I think this is to you, like an obstacle course in a video game, yes? I think so. I guess I would think so. I guess I would think so. I have like a group of teenagers walking by. Give thanks. Yeah. Okay. I think that was to you, Akizak.
Give thanks for what?
They calmed down. They said, sorry. I was saying give thanks to them. What?
Because have they been a blessing in your life?
No, because they were courteous. But somewhat. They were a little rambunctious walking in. And then they saw me videotaping and they were like, oh. So I was saying give thanks.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
She asked like an obstacle course in a video game. Yes?
I don't know what are you referring to? What piece?
Georgina, if you can.
I mean, I guess if I would look at a video game, either you could be the player in the video game, or you can start to put yourself in a position where some can start to create the game, the narrative in the game, as opposed to just being a bystander. Somebody who is just playing the game, or one who has put the game together. So sometimes you can just be the player in the game, and all of these obstacles just keep being put in front of you. And now one can start looking at it and saying, why is this happening to me? And then they can be a victim, because it's like, oh, well, I didn't ask for any of this. I didn't ask for to be put in this state or to be put in this. And I'm assuming what you're asking, but if it's not Georgina, you can jump in and say, no, this he was referring to something else. But it's easy for one to stay a victim when one can say that I didn't build the game, I didn't construct the game, and this is all just happening to me. Mm-hmm. Or one can start to now study the game. One can now start to study the board. One can now start to take a look at and see why certain things are designed and why things are put in place to be a hindrance for one to actually try to push through, because somebody now is capitalizing or making money off of other people being broken. Somebody now is capitalizing off of people making sure that they make the same decision that somebody else has made in their 20s. And it's always just a revolving door, so that one now still can stay stuck and stay broken, and then they can still take care of the way that the society or the video game has been constructed, because they're selling this video Now it's a matter of one saying, no, almost like the Truman Show. I'm just a player in somebody else's game, and I'm starting to see that this is not conducive. This is not raising me up out of a funk. This is not going to raise my children up out of a funk, and this is not going to do anybody of any service other than the person who created the game. So it's just a matter of now, can I start to see that? Can I submit to somebody who has actually defeated the game? Or do I want to keep on looking for cheat codes? Or do I want to keep on trying to do wealth rituals? And do I want to try to find any other thing that'll hopefully make me skip past level 5, 6, or 7? And if I just enter this cheat code, I can get some money. Or if I enter this cheat code, I now can find love. If I can enter this cheat code, now I'll get a better job. But meanwhile, if I enter this cheat code, and I haven't done what is necessary in order for me to now build a solid foundation to get to where I want to be, I can talk my way into something and then talk my way right back out of it within a few days. So now I went to war, but I didn't really do the proper planning and preparation for the war. I just wanted the victory for a war, but now I ultimately lost it because I didn't do what was deemed necessary. So it's a matter of, do I have time instead of trying to say, oh, I got a new game and I'm in this game. Now, how long is it going to take me to beat this game? Just say, you know what, I'm going to submit and I'm not even going to look to see which level I'm on. I'm just going to keep on, I'm going to just keep plugging away because I know I can't stay in this game forever. And I definitely don't want to come back and keep on repeating this game because I wasn't submissive or obedient to what was put in front of me.
Yeah. Give thanks. I think you more than answered the question. She says, great addition to the question, Brother Zach. As you were talking, I immediately thought like, look up the cheat code. How many of us, playing video games and playing games, always looking for the shortcut, always looking for the cheat code. When the truth is, there's a way to do things. And I think this was said, during our Anu study session, the question about following a culture. It's like there's this way to do it. You don't need to find the cheat code. You don't need to put your own stank on it. This is the way to do it. And when you do it correctly, you're going to have the outcome that is desired or deserved. Welcome, Master Manuelek. Peace. I'm just going to, Master Manuelek, the floor is yours. And while we're waiting for you to come on, peace, Ima Kuya, and peace, Nsitu Anchor. Peace, peace, peace. Master Manuelek? We can't hear you.
Might just be listening for now.
Oh, okay.
Get this thing together.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. So yeah, we're talking about, I'm going to reset the room real quick. So we're discussing victory is yours, so take it. And the question posed comes from Chief's comments on our fellowship on Yom Shishi about victory implying war. And war is a battle. So the question was, what are your examples of war that you can give, whether it's, something outside of yourself or something within you, and how have you been victorious, and how do you plan to be victorious if it's something that is still going on? Welcome, Achoti Yaffe. I'm going to open the floor to you. If you are ready, you can flash your mic, okay?
Greetings, I am ready. Peace, Baba. Thank you, Zach. Master Manuelek. Thank you, Sister Yaffe. I had to pause for I think the battle before your mind, right? I think it was said before, and sometimes I wanted to share because I'm thinking about that. But for me, it's like the battle for my thoughts, right? Because, and not so much emotions, because I realize that even how we're feeling or emotions in the moment is always as a result of that thought. And so for me, it's that war for the mind, or war of thoughts, that is always this constant having to check, right? Or put a boundary for these thoughts that come through. Because the truth is, like, example, but I guess I'll say like an example of victory for me that helps taking back my health. And I say that because, you know, I've had different influences when it comes to, like what's in my environment in terms of what influences my thoughts and then what influences how I eat or even exercise and maintaining movement. So I would say like that's one of the things that I can see there's been victory in because there has been discipline, there has been like controlling of thoughts in that area that have helped to get to a place where I feel like okay, I won't be looking at a test in the next couple of years that may say oh you developed diabetes or something something of that nature. So the battle for health, I think that would be my example, and I know it's an important one even now for many people. So I wanted to share that one too. And something was shared earlier. Aki Sack, I think you mentioned it, and I thought of the idea of like even battling our egos, right? And for me myself battling my ego, and how that battling of my ego is synonymous to I think in the 14 keys it's conversation around creating boundaries for ourselves and chaperoning that's being self-defined. And I think about how that battle against our ego actually helps us to begin to create the definitions of who we are and ourselves, as opposed to allowing the ego to control that. So those are some of the things I was thinking of in response to your question.
Give thanks, and you know what? That battle with the ego, that's a hard one, and I wonder sometimes like if it's hard because we don't want to let go, or is the ego that strong? Like what is the balance of power between our will and the ego? Why is it such a difficult battle? Like what is that? Is it because you're also it's got backup from the flesh brain and all the thoughts and the narratives that we keep in our heads? Like why is that battle seemingly so difficult at times? I don't have the answer. It was a question, but if someone has the answer, please feel free to join us on the feed, on the visual part, or on stage. I don't know if you're ready yet, Master Menulek. Yes, no. I don't see a microphone, so I'm gonna move to Avaras Kush or Achoti Maria. You had something to add? You came on.
Yeah, I do not have the answer, not by a long shot. I do not have the answer. But I will say, maybe, like I'm considering that the ego just kind of puts us in a place where we consistently lean on patterns. And so if you're leaning on patterns, then you don't have to do the work. Because it's like driving in autopilot. I'm not a driver. But it's like putting something on autopilot, let's say, right? And it just continuously works up, just like the subconscious mind kicks in, and you can do a bunch of different things on autopilot and not have to constantly check and recheck to make sure you're on the right path and you're following instruction. So it's easy, right? It's easy. So versus the more challenging thing would be to constantly look at the patterns and at checkpoints in our life and even my journey and pause and say, but no, you're doing this wrong and you're told about it. Do the right thing. So I think there's an ease and a cruising that happens when we don't check ego. I think sometimes that may be where the difficulty comes in.
Yeah, and you know what? Autopilot, you don't, like you said, you don't think, and so you're almost allowed to fall asleep at the wheel, and even if it's on autopilot or cruise control or whatever it is, it's dangerous to fall asleep at the wheel. Like carnage can ensue when you fall asleep at the wheel. It's like gotta be a constant battle to. It is the constant war to keep the ego in check and kind of like visualize victory of checking the ego every day. It's not like a one-time thing. It's a daily practice. Abaraskush, welcome. No, okay. So for okay, Akizat, go ahead.
Yeah, all right. I was just going to add that I think when we speak about the ego, it makes me think of the saying, "I would rather dance with the devil I know than the one that I don't." And if I actually, I'll just take Anu. If I join Anu, right? If I go beyond just listening to the shows, and I go, it might change me. It might. Oh, what's the one that Chief just shared with the Heavy D?
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say Heavy D.
Yeah, if I look at this, I know I'm gonna have to make some changes. And when I start to look at certain things, there's certain things that I cannot unsee. And it will, if I'm living the current lifestyle that I'm living, it will start to convict me. And if I start thinking about things that I know that I should not be doing, but I continue to do them, it will not allow me to be a victim. And I can't be held accountable for something that I was not aware of. So it's easy for me just lean on my ego because I'm having fun and I'm turning up and I'm doing all of the things that everybody tells me successful people do, and I'm striving after all of the things that people tell me will create happiness, and I'm doing all of these different things. But meanwhile, when I lay down or when I start to move during my journey, something is telling me this ain't it. But what do? Nah, this has to be it. Maybe I just need to take one more drink. Maybe I just need to take one more smoke. Maybe I just need to go out one more time. Or maybe I just need to keep just constantly trying to fuel myself from all of these things that this world tells me will start to bring me certain joys, supposedly, or certain happinesses. But then I don't even know if that's a word. I'm just going to take that with me here. But it's just going to keep me on a constant cycle to tell me that this is what I should be doing. But meanwhile, it's like I can't get enough of it. But then now, how do I finally start to ease that out? Is by now, instead of, searching for money, I search for wealth. Instead of searching for people to be around, I search for true love and connection. Right? It starts to now change my trajectory of what I'm actually been aiming for, which will now bring me peace. And what is peace? Maintaining your identity in the midst of chaos. So when everything is going well around you, you can have peace. When everything seems to be falling off the hinges and somebody's like, oh my goodness, you're a much stronger person than me because I wouldn't be able to handle that. I have peace. It's not me, and it's moving beyond a poverty mindset of thinking that what I don't have, but moving into the wisdom that is all around me, of the trees that I have to pick from, of saying this is how you overcome this hurt. This is how you overcome this hurt. And tapping into those different streams of cognition that now say, you know what? Because somebody has shared their energy with me, I now pull energy from that, and then I give the same thing almost like a tree in photosynthesis. I'm taking from this, and then I'm giving back oxygen. But that's only when I'm tapped in to a true and living well, as opposed to fake and test tube me and all of these other things that this world tries to do, I have to now pull back from that and tap into something else. But if I actually do that, then now I'm gonna have to actually be held accountable for the things that I do, and maybe I'm just not ready for that. And if I'm not ready for that, I'm just gonna lean on my ego because it's got me this far, right? I ain't that messed up, right? I ain't that bad, right? Mm-hmm. It's all those things, all these traditions, and it's all those things that prevent me from actually moving beyond where I should be. Is what I think. So yeah.
Say it again. No, I'm just joking. Give thanks. You know what? Like, you said, you talked about like pulling from the well. And immediately I was like, well, reciprocity. Can I pull from the well that I'm getting? All of us, like, pull from the well of Anu. And how do I show up and push it back out? How do I, am I in my daily movements, am I taking what I'm pulling from the well and pushing it back out so that I make those surrounding people, areas, communities, that are adjacent to me or surround me, am I contributing and making them better? And I have to think about that. And there's a lot of times where it's like, no, I'm just worried about, like, what I'm doing and making sure that I'm like staying steady in the midst of the storm. And instead of thinking about like just have peace. And then if I do that, I can get to that point. But even before getting to peace, it's like having that battle, winning that battle, daily battle with the ego, like doing it. It's like kind of like has to become a part of like the morning ritual. Have that battle with the ego and then move through the day. We have some comments. I just scroll, and hopefully I'm catching all the comments. Peace Imakuya, she says, I would say the ego is very strong, but the question is, what will you use to war against it? I always have to use truth to battle against ego. Does this line up with what I know is right? I think you're asking yourself that question. Does this line up with what I know is right? And yes, it's a daily practice. What are you using to war against it? I don't know. I think the only thing you can use is truth, because as Achoti Maria has said to me like many, many times in the past, which I'm sure she got from Chief, that the ego lives in offense. It loves to sit in offense, and it loves to keep that narrative to say like no, like, and so that you do I'm gonna just have one more drink, like you said, I'm gonna just have one more smoke. It loves to sit in offense.
Yeah, and I think too though is like, does this line up with what I know to be right? I think that's what you said. And I think that becomes also a very dangerous line to walk too, because what are you using, or what do you think you know to be right?
That's right.
Sometimes we have been fed
true story.
A whole bunch of lies that tell us that what we think is right and what we think that somebody else is doing, which is something that even we spoke about at the retreat, is how do you know that what you're not doing is evil?
Yep.
How do we start to even look at how we start to move and what we start to build on, or even what you say is truth, and how do we get to the truth and logic and deductive reasoning? And that's one of the things that I'm just grateful for is when coming into our new, Chief has said this many times, when in doubt, copy your teacher. And in doing so, that has allowed me to start to now hold a measuring stick over what now I start to see other people doing, what I started to see other communities doing, what I used to do in my old habits of what I used to carry, of starting to even shed some of those things that I used to take into, and me not knowing, I'm going to tell y'all what y'all is doing is wrong over here, and y'all need to start, and me trying to now colonize people and thinking that now that whole arrogance of coming into it with one of my favorite movies, Avatar.
He threw us for a loop.
and and even when Jake Sully in the first Avatar, when he came over there and they was like, look, man, we'll see if we can cure you of your sickness. That sickness of coming from a Western civilization of the more that I start to learn, the more that I begin to know, and the more arrogant I begin to become. Because I think now, instead of me practicing humility when I go into another world or another society or a different group, I'm going in telling them, I'm going in trying to colonize them, as opposed to going in trying to learn the lay of the land. Whereas instead of taking an Eastern mindset that says the more that I know and the more that I learn, the more that I understand, I don't know anything at all. Because it's like, man, there's so many different things and wonderments of the world, but it's a matter of, can I now practice humility? And can I now at least look to the teacher and copy the teacher, i.e. on the Jake Sully going into the tribe? Can I start to learn the ways of the tribe as opposed to imposing what I think should be going on in this tribe? And that one, I guess, would Can I still be heard? I'm sorry.
Yes, you can be heard. You can be heard now.
Yep, we got you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But can I go beyond of what this society has told me, which is why people so many times when they go to other places in different countries, they know you're an American.
Yeah.
And how do they know that you're an American? They like, because one is so arrogant. And one starts to say, this is what I know is right. But then how do you know that's right?
It ain't right over here.
How do you know this is what other people should be doing? Or you don't even try to learn 10 words or 20 words of the language. You going over there saying, this is what I do. So that, because this is what I do, you accommodate what I do because I'm the one with the money. But ultimately, I'm the one that's in poverty. Because there's no real connections that I have with the community. There's no real connections that I have with the Creator. There's no real connections that I've been making with peace. There's no real connections that I have with wealth, only with money. Which now leaves me more broken and more empty inside than anybody else that I would ever run into. But meanwhile, because I feel like I have the security of some type of fiat currency that doesn't allow me to move beyond that. Which ultimately ends up letting that ego just run rampant as opposed to letting that down and saying, you know what, I don't have this all figured out.
Yeah.
I'm actually broken inside. Please just fix this, man. Fix it. Because the more I try to pad it with some type of currency or money or anything of that nature, the more that I just make it worse. Just fix it. And I think that's a tough thing people do.
And you know why? It could be because, and this is why Chief always tells us, like, learn the meanings of words, like, dig into the etymology. Because a lot of times we will confuse one thing for another or be like, oh, it means the same thing. And it's like, no, they have totally different roots. So they don't really come from the same thing. You know, there's a lot of people, myself included, for a long time, it was like, well, rich is the same thing as wealth. And it is totally not. Wealth is very, very different from riches, right? And even what we identify as being wealthy, like, for like, if you go to another country or just it could be just another place, even in the United States, it's like you being healthy is wealth. You having children is wealth. I think I remember there was it was an actor, Mel Gibson, I don't know. They went to some Asian country and it was he brought his family, and everybody was just looking at them because they had so many children, and he was in a place where they have rules, they have population control, and for them that was wealth. Look at all your children. Look, I want to say abundance, but that's not abundance. Abundance was a variety of wisdom. So, it was like, look at all these children that you have. Look at how large your family is. To them, that's wealth. So it's not the same as like just having a whole bunch of money, because you could blow that with a bad summer and a drinking habit, So you could blow that, not even a summer, you could blow it in a week, because things is inflation. But Akuya says, good point, Akizak. Yes, and I agree. Very, very good point. It's like, well, how do you know what the truth that you're thinking is truth is actually truth? Like, where did you get it from? Georgina,
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
Right. I was just gonna say, that's where then people start to say, I was gonna do it, but it just didn't resonate, or I just got a bad feeling, and it's one of those that, if I have been eating a sugary diet for a long time, or if I've been drinking nothing but milkshakes, and then you put in front of me a green smoothie, it's not gonna resonate, right? Because I've been eating garbage my entire life.
I remember my first green smoothie.
So it's going to be hard for me to I might even have to plug my nose. Like, oh my gosh, I need to now, take something to help this go down, because now I might even feel nauseous when I drink it, because it just doesn't resonate with me. As opposed to saying, you know what, these little sugar highs that I'm getting, they last for a quick second, but they end up having, I bomb out faster, more often. And actually, I have a high. So so you said this is a green smoothie, right? Okay, cool. You know what? I now have to trust. I have to trust that what is being delivered and what is being handed to me will support the weight. That if I put my foot on here, I don't know, because I've never walked it, but because I now see somebody who's further along the path, I have to trust that that's going to hold my weight. And I also have to trust that the path that I've been moving along with, I know it's not going to be sustained. And now that I think that even goes back to what I think it was the third one that Chief did, which it was paradigm shifts. And in that, it was an example of, I could be having a day where I'm driving in my car and I'm not in a place where I feel like I'm not moving fast enough or something, and I think that things should be going in a way that I deem is necessary, and somebody may be on the path that I think that they're going too slow, and I start honking my horn. Hey man, get out the way, right? And all of a sudden they're moving so slow, and I'm in one lane, one stream of cognition, that I'm thinking that everybody should be moving in the way that I think that they should be moving. And then I get out the car and I walk up and I'm like, ooh, this empty car, but then all of a sudden I see this person having a stroke or having a seizure. And in that moment, there becomes a paradigm shift, where now I'm not moving in a direction where I thought that everything had to look like one way. Now my paradigm shift is, how can I support? How can I help? What can I do? Let me get off of the horn and let me get on the horn to try to get somebody here that can actually help this person out. Now, what happens though is a lot of times we are in a perpetual state of having a seizure. We are in a perpetual state of having some type of health ailments, but it's like, you know what? I'm gonna have a quick shift, not a full paradigm shift, where it's like, let me stay on a road to recovery and a path to health and wellness. I'm only going to try to get something that alleviates my suffering for the moment. That'll just put me right back on the path so I can start traveling down that same street that I've been traveling down. But me not necessarily making a commitment to a different mindset or a different street that I should be walking down. That ultimately is not going to produce a healing, but only produce a cure. And the cure is only what I'm going to put on the top for a second, right? And because I'm only looking for something to make me feel good in the moment. It's like old girl at Mustard Ball when she ripped her shirt open. Do something to make me feel good. I just want to feel good for the quick moment, but not ultimately commit myself to a way and a walk of life. Now, the interesting thing about that is you're going to deal with pain no matter what street you end up going down. There's going to be either the pain of regret, because I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And when you turn and you look back and you say, man, I should have been doing this, but I didn't do it this whole time. Please, if I can just rewind the hands of time, then I would actually do what was asked of me. But your time is up. Or you're going to have the pain of commitment and discipline. That pain that sometimes says, I don't feel like going to the gym today. That pain that says that I don't want to eat this. I want to eat more sugary substances to make me feel better. That pain of saying that, you know what, I can't hang out with the people that I used to hang out with because I now have to make better decisions because ultimately these were bad influences. That pain of saying that I can't now smoke or drink because I know that was bringing toxins in my liver and my body, which was ultimately making me sick. You're either going to have a pain of discipline or you're going to have a pain of regret. And it's a matter of which one does one finally want to say, you know what, enough is enough, and I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, that I can move beyond my little puny ego that's keeping me trapped here. That says now I want to start to create new paradigms. I want to now create new habits. I want to now have that paradigm shift where I can move beyond this so I don't have to keep staying in this cyclical cycle of just hurt and ultimately searching for a cure, or rather putting me on a path of healing. Okay, I'm done.
No.
So can I be heard?
Yes, you can. Give thanks, Akizak.
Hey.
Welcome, Avaras Chris. You're kind of low. Your volume is kind of low, and I'm already low, so I just,
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So, yeah, peace, everybody. I'm glad that I can finally be heard. And there were a few things that kind of stood out to me. A lot of times, what I see, is, myself and with I've seen it, just what's frequent in our society is that we confuse wins with, victory. Confuse a win with victory. But what I mean by that is like we look at, the very temporary feeling, of winning, and we look at that as if I, just keep getting, if I just keep getting this hit, then, I'll win the war. But kind of like what he was saying in regards to, getting those temporary substances to feel good rather than, doing what's best for the long term gain. And I think it's primarily because that's how we've been taught to think. Society has really played has really emphasized, but what's really emphasized is feeling good. It's not about, actually obtaining and maintaining, sustaining ultimate health. Right? That's not something that's really emphasized. short span of time that broke. And oftentimes we wonder, like, how did that happen? How did you get there? And how did you get there? Well, succeeding, to get to a certain level that most people haven't gotten to. Many people have not gotten to. Think about sports players, how small that percentage is of persons that actually get into the NBA, versus the mass population. So they've achieved in this third regard, but that actual, um, you know, their success, was it was not appropriate to the longevity of being victorious. You know, they may have won, you know, they may have won at the high school level, they may have won at, college level, to get to where they, to get to where they, succeeded to, you know, uh, the major league, the NBA level. We're talking about the game of life, which is, it just takes so much more, for us to just bear down and, for us to achieve what we see as what we see as ultimate happiness. So the short ways, to successes, those achievements that look good and feel good in the moment is what, we're talking about. Actually, living a life of righteousness, really truly being, happy and being able to provide, happiness, just as we provide truth for ourselves, lineage, versus the stuff that we feel happiness is going to involve us, bearing down our minds, emotions back at, um, those programs that have, that have, been implanted in us, for us to eat, programmed to have self-hatred, programmed to hate ourselves, programmed to hate each other. We've been programmed to, love our enemy and love the things that our enemy produces for us that keep us in captivity. So it's going to take a temporary, resolution, a temporary gain, to a person that, seeking what they understand, happen. It might take the rest of our lives to deprogram from it because it's so, it's so deeply inculcated, But yeah, I just wanted to add to the cipher. I appreciate you.
Good. Thanks for your share. Your volume got lower and lower as you were talking, but willfully okay. It looks like everybody was able to hear you. I had the mic like right up to the other mics. Okay, so you were heard, but it was very low. But Imakuya says, I like point Abaras about bearing down or holding fast when we are warring against ego. Um, and Georgina says, give thanks. Something you said earlier on in your comments about it's kind of like the pharmaceutical company. It's and Akizak touched on it too, like right before you did. It's the addressing the symptoms and not getting to the healing part of what's really happening. You have to address the issue, and we've even talked about this even in the womb room, like when we talk about women and our womb issues. It's like many times in medicine And that's what you get in the pharmaceutical world. In medicine, they, oh, okay, well, you got a cough and it's a sign of this, but we're going to give you something for the cough. Why don't you figure out how to address why I even have the cough? And some of it is like, okay, well, you even sitting, why do you have this cough? What were you doing that put the cough there, right? And stop, just looking for somebody to tell you, like, you know what your symptoms are, but why do you have the symptoms? It's getting to the root cause of the problem, not just like what has manifested as a result. And then we go off onto these tangents to these battles against symptoms instead of what is really happening. So give thanks. Go ahead.
I did want to add something also that kind of came to mind is our positioning. Many of us did not, from a situation where we were presented with wealth, as a child, at least in monetary sense, and we, most of us have not been born into a family that presented us with all of the righteous teachings we may be presented with now, and so therefore there's a certain position that we may have to take on that is temporary, that may not be the most glamorous, it may not be the most glamorous type of position that we would like to have, right? Everybody wants to be the top dog, right? So and especially with the society that we have, where certain things we glamorize, the result of being the top dog is when there's a lack of emphasis on what it takes to be to get to the top, to be victorious, which is the fullest. What that looks like, the shining, the glitter, what that looks like. So it reminds me of like being in that proper position, for victory. If we are putting in, work into that we know, what is right and righteous, within our spirit, righteousness, we position ourselves, in a manner of which, we are capable of, taking that next step. And the same with, education. We are studying, if we're studying, some specific topic, and we're getting, our certifications, positioning ourselves, in a way to where we can, now take that next step, maybe in perhaps a career, versus being, satisfied or envious of those who have taken themselves, versus, just staying in that poverty mind, just only seeing lack, but actually setting yourself up for success. That's something that I'm going to set myself up to be victorious by doing the things that I see, that I've been shown, the wisdom that I've been given, as to be, a part of, or a necessary part of the formula for success.
Give thanks. I think what you said um, toward the end was key. Like follow the formula, and even Akizak said it earlier. Like we have a teacher who gives it to us. We don't need a cheat code. We have the formula. We have the equation. Um, both sides of it. So just follow the formula, and that's victory is yours. So just take it. It's there. It's been given to us. We've been shown what to do. So it's a matter of getting over, you know, the old stuff that we used to do and getting over, thinking that we're gonna have, FOMO. The FOMO is missing out like when it's time to leave and everybody else is like going up, spaceships or whatever, and you stuck down here in Babylon. That's when you're gonna have real FOMO. So give thanks. Um, Georgina, I am so glad that you are enjoying the midday affirmative. You can visit www.onlifeglobal.org/join and fill out an application. I am glad that you're enjoying it because it gets even better on the other side. So, please visit and fill out an application. Um, Akizak and
Go ahead. I see Achoti Yaffe.
yeah, okay.
Me, thank you. I think just the share mention just thinking about a battle, but also thinking about there being a formula. You know, in connection to what you shared earlier, Sister Yaffe, when you said, like Chief mentioned to us, there is like just the idea of victory means that a battle has to be fought. I think about Joshua, right? And maybe it's, I don't know what it is. Take it for what it is. Like just the idea of Joshua being given a plan and executing on the plan. But also knowing that, like he was not moving alone. It wasn't off of his own, intent. The vision he was given was a vision greater than a vision that we, like how we have desires. I want this, I want that. All right, which brings suffering, right? So, and then of course, suffering will bring a disconnect. So, that means that we're going to be unhinged from what we really want to, or should be working toward. But yeah, I think it's important to consider that a battle or victory comes with plan and executing on a plan, but also knowing that you're walking and you're not walking, it's not alone, right? And we won't be given something that we cannot actually accomplish. So something I think you shared this with me, and maybe it was shared earlier too. I think by Akizak, like, you formulate ideas and thoughts about failure, and you formulate fears, right? Now I'm speaking. Now I'm thinking. You formulate fears, and those fears will cripple us, right? And crippling again, it just it takes you lower and lower and further away from, again, the plan and what the execution needs to be. It's almost like a tainting of the formula when fear comes in. And I know too, like when I think of fear, I know this is from what Chief has taught in some of like the segments. I remember like fear coming up because of this desire to control what the outcome is. And so I question, what eventually what is victory? Because what if maybe a battle is lost, but what appears to be a loss isn't really a loss, because because whatever the outcome is, it puts us in a position for growth and further development. So what we're perceiving as a failure, and it may take the mind of someone who is a true guide, right, and leadership and headship, to be able to analyze something like that. Like that made me wonder for a second. Sometimes we are confused about what the victory is, right? And maybe it's because of desire again.
I think that it's kind of the going back to like, well, how are you identifying what the truth really is? So if your identification of or your acknowledgement of what you think is truth, then something that may be a victory may not look like a victory to you. because you're using something else to or another lens to judge what's really in front of you, so that your discernment is off kilter. Go ahead, Uncle Zach. Sorry.
All right, I wasn't sure if Coach Beret was coming back. I saw that microphone flickering. Yeah, so what I'm going to flow from the Abba Ross a little bit when he said, being highly programmable. And it started making me think of, you program something, it's almost in the sense of you wanted to, how I look at it is ultimately a master-slave relationship, where if I'm programming something, I needed to respond to me when I needed to respond. I need to be able to now understand and know what responses it will give me in certain circumstances, so that now I can now have the best possible outcome for myself. In the sense of looking at a horse, and I've seen a picture of a horse when you tie the horse up, it was tied to a chair, and it was a plastic chair. But one of the pictures that it was trying to convey was saying that how the horse was so programmed that it still thought it was tied to something that was anchored to the ground, that it could just walk away. But because now it has been programmed, it now thinks that this is its reality. That once this leash, per se, is tied to something, that I can't go anywhere, because that's just the way it is. And now if I look at that in the sense of one having control over resources and one having, I'm not even going to say power, let's say strength. One having strength over money and things like that, well, now it would be incumbent or wise upon one to create certain personalities, to create, like Coach Maria said, certain fears in certain, so that therefore now I can predict what you are going to do, so that therefore your victory, or at least what you presume to be victory, is ultimately my victory, and the victory that the outcome that I want you to have, as opposed to saying, almost like in the movie Bruce, I've heard Chief say this numerous times, Fiddler finally at the end says, I've been playing what everybody else can play. I'm finally going to start playing something that I want to play. And he went underneath the tree and played what he wanted to play, but then he eventually died like shortly after. And that started making me think of how many of us wait until we get to the end of the road, until we finally want to start to invest in what somebody told you to invest in a long time ago. How many females want to ultimately not listen to somebody further along the path, and then when they're certain, when they are used and abused and thrown out to the wolves, now and all of a sudden the sexual value has decreased, and now, okay, I'm ready to listen. When young men can finally listen to somebody who is further along the path, and like they say, a smart man learns from his mistakes, but a genius learns from other people's mistakes. And you have a man that has so many scars and so many wounds that's on it right now, that he's able to present things like when he said, I sleep in the tent when it's cold outside, or I sleep in the car because I need to be able to go inside in order to now give the best of me, to have people to have a roadmap so that they can navigate their lives. But still, when this person still tells me everything that I can foresee coming, I'm still going to start to go with this contentious woman who now is going to be arguing and ultimately pull me off my path. And now I have to worry about all these other concerns of, now I got to worry about paying money in alimony, paying money in child support, paying money in all of these things, and now I can't even now have a clear vision of what I want to do, because this world has thrown me off. So now I'm just in a perpetual state of a master-slave relationship when everything is right there in front of you. Either you're going to keep bowing down to the strengths that be, or you're going to actually take power, because the true power is above the strength. The strength is perceived power. And somebody who you perceive is above you, that ultimately has control, that you have nothing that you have no control over. But it's when you now start to, that victory is yours, take it. Are you going to take what's presented right in front of you? Are you going to start to apply the teachings as opposed to just being on the outside and saying, oh yeah, that's deep, and I'm going to repeat that's deep? Or you know how people just show up to church and say, well, I'm here, ain't I? But then when I step outside of it, then I'm going to go back and live the same way that I want to live. So somebody comes into our new and says, yeah, I'm our new while I'm here, but then meanwhile, I'm still going to go back and I'm still going to listen to these other people. But I know what's really has changed my life is listening to this information and applying this information is really what has allowed me to take victory in my own life. So it's a matter of, does one again wait to the end? Do they wait till all things fall down? Do they wait till everything starts to crumble and the ground crumbles beneath them? There's an old saying that says, you can either fix your roof when it's sunny outside, or you can fix your roof when it's raining outside. But why would you wait till the rain comes and you start to see all of these leaks, and now you're trying to scramble around trying to fix the roof when you had ample opportunity to do it when it was sunny outside?
Mm-hmm.
That's that whole Noah's Ark. It's coming. Are you building the ark, and are you going to be able to take your place on the ark? Or are you going to just wait and say, oh man, do you have room for me? And you're like, you had all of this time. What were you doing? Oh, I was too busy partying, drinking and drugging and running and thugging and doing all these things that were ultimately feeding into somebody else another strength that was ultimately going to get rich on. The lights don't stay on in Vegas. This is my last point, and I'm done. I'm sorry for it. No. The lights don't stay on in Vegas because they pay out. And I saw a video the other night where somebody was on the ground and they were crying because they were like, I lost it all. It's all gone. But one was trying to get rich quick. They were trying to put the cheat code in that if I put $1,000 on this table, I'm gonna get two back, or you know whatever the odds are. And if I play the odds and I just beat the odds, then I can come out of whatever state that I'm in. Everything is gonna be well. But ultimately, it's just going to magnify whatever problem it is that you're trying to run from. If you even get more money, it's just gonna magnify it. And when it magnifies it, do you have the tools in order to reach for, in order for you now to fix whatever problem it is that you're running from? Mm-hmm. You can either strive for money or you can strive for wealth. Can you strive to now pull from that abundant tree that starts to give you different paradigm shifts that start to say, oh, I didn't see it that way. Oh, I was heading for death and destruction. Oh, I was headed down a way that I shouldn't be going down. Oh, thank you. Mm-hmm. Because ultimately now I have peace and I can put my head on the pillow at night and say, you know what? I have peace. And I have everything that I need in order for me to make it introverse to this world. And it's not about somebody trying to now inculcate into me saying that I'm moving from lack, I'm moving from being deficient, or I'm starting to come up with these, I can get more on gas than somebody can on a full tank because I was born, deficient. You weren't born deficient. You were born to win. You were born to succeed. You were born to take victory. But are you willing to take it when it's presented to you right in front of you? Or are you going to still reach for the milkshake that tastes good but has ultimately empty calories? So, yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking, ooh, piece of candy. Exactly like, ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. And the candy is not like the sugar sweet stuff. The candy is the stuff that's well, it is sweet, but it's not like the sugar. It's what's gonna help you get that peace at night, when in the midst of the storm. So give thanks for that. Welcome, Emi Akira Eden. And also, Master Menu, I keep pressing invite to speak. So I would say try leaving the room and then come back. And then we'll see what happens. We have the same technical difficulties we had a strong ago. But yeah, try leaving the room and then come back. And then I'll do the invite again. Emi Akira Eden, the floor is yours.
Can I be heard?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Good enough.
Okay, good enough will be good enough right now. Pardon. I was wrapped up in the experience of listening, but the question that Sister Maria posed, like, all right, let me get a little active here. What is victory ultimately, right? Is it that, yeah, I won. I won a prize. And as I raised my hand or jumped on the podium, Aki Zach, you were saying exactly, well, not exactly, but you were saying that the vibration of what I was thinking. We gain victory simply by doing, by moving, by putting ourselves out there and just being obedient to, all right, I'm supposed to turn right here. I'm supposed to go left here. Okay, say this. Unmute now. That's the victory. It doesn't matter if what comes out is a bunch of made up words that you're then, credited for being the one who makes up words. That's not the point. The point is that you were obedient in that moment. And when we look at victory, I would imagine that if we begin to look at victory from that vantage point, then it's like there is no moment or opportunity to sulk or to rebel against that chance to grow because you took the opportunity. So then, as Aki Zach said, then you have those, oh, you know what? I didn't even see it that way. But you wouldn't have been able to see it that way had you not allowed that light to even show you what was in the corner. Because perhaps you were too afraid to even open the door. So you're in the dark, the door is closed, light is knocking. Like, if you crack the door, there's illumination right here. But you're like, no, I'm afraid. So the victory is simply reaching and being open to whatever the experience is designed to be, which we never actually know. Because if we knew that, then we would be the ultimate creator. And we're not. We're not. So it's like our role here is to have these experiences, to traverse these different terrains, and to say, well, you know what? Yeah, I might have been more of an urban girl, but I like camping. I like sleeping outside. I actually like having, what do you call those boots? Hiking boots. I had no idea, and I would have had no idea had I not just said, "Oh, let me see where this takes me." And that's the mindset that's that childlike curiosity. That's that. Oh wow, what is this? Right? I think Master Menelik touched on it, or maybe Keith said it, and Master Menelik gave an example of like how babies explore by putting things in their mouth. So it's like, well, what is this? They look at it, they touch it, they feel it, like they take it in with all of the senses, so that they can experience what that thing is. And then even when you ever see a child eat a lemon for the first time, even though there's that visceral reaction, like, what in the world is this? They often go back again, like, let me see, let me see what this is. That's victory. So I would even say victory is just being able to know. Like, okay, I went down that block and I know what was there yesterday. So maybe I'll go down there again tomorrow and see what that experience is then. Yeah. This is a really good build, and I'm happy to hear all that's being shared.
Give thanks. We just flowing. Success. We got Master Menelik on stage. The floor is yours. We've been waiting.
Okay, let's try this again. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right, good. Clubhouse always doing me dirty. I'm in transit right now, so I'll try to be quick. I was in and out, but I caught bits and pieces, and it was all good. Definitely gotta go back and listen to the segment again. What Ross was saying made me think of a movie It's called Kung Pao. It's like a comedy movie, kung fu parody type of thing. But there's a character called, what's his name? Wimp Lo, right? It's talking about the programmability and the idea of victory. They basically told the main character on the side, they put on the side, it's like, pay no attention to Wimp Lo, because he was always picking fights, even though he couldn't fight. He said, we trained him wrong on purpose as a joke. Like, that was his whole life. His whole life was a joke. We purposely trained him wrong. So they trained him to think that losing was actually winning. So he would, you know how kung fu movies, they always name their attacks, and he would call it face to fist style, or Mike Groin versus your foot. Like those were his moves. And at the end of one altercation, it's like they break up the fight. It's like, don't worry about, don't fight him. You know, he's an idiot. But meanwhile, they holding everybody back, and he's behind lines like, I'm bleeding, making me the victim. Like, he was so convinced that losing was winning, that he was proud of the fact that he was the one who was bleeding and bruised at the end of the fight. You know, and as tragically funny as it is, it happens to a lot of us sometimes too, when it comes to the things that we say we want to do. You know, well, I tried and I failed, but at least I tried. You know, and that's good enough for me. You just walk off proud that you at least tried something, you know, and then you be hating on the people who are actually winning at it. Like, yeah, that's all right. You know, like the mod rapper, you know, it was all right. You know, I listened to it, it was all right. You know, but what about my stuff? You know, so your vision of victory, but without vision, you know, your victory could be to your own detriment. You know, the things you consider to be a win are actually losses, and you're not aware of it because you're maybe you were led astray, you know, or maybe you're just surrounded by people who purposefully lead you astray as a joke. You know, that's where you got to step back and look at your life and be like, am I really winning? Or am I trying to look good losing, or do I feel like I look good whether I'm losing or not? So I just wanted to add that to the bill. It's about to get noisy again, so I'll mute up.
Peace. I simply last couple of things, which was, you know, two things. One that Ross said, you know, it's also something that Master Miller just said about, you know, that delusion of winning, you know, thinking that you're actually making successful steps toward your own purpose and not realizing that you're just fulfilling someone else's sick game of power. And, you know, I don't know, again, I came a little later, so I didn't know Ross said something about programming. And it just made me think about, even before victory, sometimes there are tactics that are used against us that we don't recognize because our concepts of victory are antiquated, and our concepts of challenge and combat and war are also outdated and outmoded. So sometimes we don't realize what's coming at us. And in particular, I was thinking about the book, The Manchurian Candidate. You know, and what was interesting about that book is it really dealt with the art of war in a different way when you start to manipulate someone's humanity and the way that they would see themselves. And I think about current times. I think, you know, we have that same sort of Manchurian agenda that many of us are already attacked by, don't realize we're under attack. You know, so like there's an altering now of the human body, you know, and sometimes it's a result of us wanting to fix what we consider to be a mistake, or to repair something, or to improve something that we think needs to be improved. So we start to reprogram our genetic material. And in order to reprogram genetic material, And the best sort of delivery system to use inside of the body is virus. Virus will work very well in that sense in order to deliver particular content and information about the body. And similar to any sort of like barrel, right? The ship barrel, or even just having luggage, you pack certain genetic mutations inside of this luggage, and it affects the body, which then lowers itself. That package will lower itself to the target inside the body. It's difficult because getting that package or that virus to where you want it to be and how you want it is very difficult unless you have some sort of map of the body, map of that system. So if you have some very sort of minor alteration that can be made in the chromosomes, very minor, it can cause like a small, let's say 1.5 or 1.3% protein uptake in your mitochondria, right? And that can cause you to, it will speed up like your cellular rhythm, the efficiency of how you oxygenate, the efficiency of your muscles, so forth and so on. Even your intelligence can increase. And because your neural acceleration and your nerve elasticity can be changed in that sense, your sensor functions, your pain suppression, your endurance, and so it's a genomic or genomic targeting that is kind of occurring, and it's similar to the Mercury candidate because you're doing something in that sense. And that book came out in 1959. You know what I mean? So this is sort of an old tactic, if you will. But and if anybody's familiar with it, it was about the son of the U.S. They were a political family in the U.S. And this guy was brainwashed into being an assassin on the communist conspiracy. And there's a lot of artwork and things like that. But what it concerns itself with is the modern warfare. And modern warfare is a fight to influence people's mindset. And they use what I would call as SMP. SMP is, and I'm just making this up, spirituality, money, politics, and then of course we start looking at it from a spiritual perspective, deeper when you have the coming of Baal and Ishtar, then you start to realize that the queen is also a part of that influencing map, but the queen brings liberated sexuality. That's so. This is like the ongoing war to subdue humanity, spirituality, money, and politics, and that brings on philosophy or the ideas of pandemics at that point, right? But I was just thinking, as again what was being shared, that there are so many ways that people are already facing offensives and may not realize it because they're looking at old conventions of what war looks like. And of course, again, if you're looking at that old invention, then you're looking at an old invention of victory, without understanding that you're being dealt with in a very shrewd way. There's a quote in an article Sun Tzu says, when you see a swine carrying a sword, be prepared to witness a massacre. So there are so many different ways to come at war, and you may see something very elegant, and very gallant carrying that sword, and not realize that that's actually a swine you're about to be massacred, and these things happen very quickly. So, like Akizak often speaks about is the lackadaisical nature that many of us approach our learning and our growth there's a quote where Sun Tzu says that there is no time where a country has benefited from prolonged warfare. So whatever's being done is going to be done very quickly. It's very swift, slow, but it's also done very intelligently and much clever. Just want to share that part.
Yeah, give thanks. Like, yeah, nobody's gonna stay in war and deplete the resources. We're gonna get in and get out. Give thanks, everyone. I don't see any more. I just put my camera. I don't see any more comments in YouTube, Facebook land. Give Georgina says, give thanks, Chief. Yes, give thanks. As you can see, I'm outside and it's pretty cold. I can't feel my fingers anymore. So I'm going to say, I'm going to ask if there's anything else that anyone wants to add to the build, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Clubhouse, before we start to close it down for the day.
I just wanted to say something real quick. I'm not going to call anybody out, but the reason I had to go away is because I'm clients and stuff calling. I'm still working, but I'm thinking about. Zach was talking about how people wait to the last minute and now they're scrambling or can't get onto the art, and I had to take a call of that very nature of someone who was in this space of art and was distracted by some of their own challenges and didn't have the strength to overcome those challenges and ended up sinking to an even deeper space than they were when they came in after they left. And a good natured person, not an evil person, but I mean, to be evil means to be dysfunctional. But it's just always a sad thing, and certainly for me, as the one who was put in place to be the rabbi or the rabbi or the teacher, my work is much harder. We fall into a deeper sunken place than it was when we first came through. Much harder. It's so much harder that some people who have more brains than I do would probably say, like, Abigail, now it's too late. So that's something to always consider as you're playing and you're sitting on the outskirts and the perimeter and thinking, like, well, I'll come around there later, I'll get around there when I get around there. Without realizing that, there's always movement. And sometimes you're evolving and sometimes you're devolving. And when you're not around those, or those who can kind of oversee and help you through your process, you might not know when you're taking steps back or how big those steps are going backwards. And work that will be involved later to try to get you even just to ground zero. And some might say, man, I can't do it. It's just too much. You did too much damage. So just something I wanted to add on to that.
Yeah, that makes me think it's like a better luck next go around. Like, like if we've done too much damage, like what else is there to just wait it out till the next time comes around? But there may not be a next time. There may not be like a, all right, we done messed up this journey. When we come back on the U-turn, we'll make it right. But there may not be an opportunity for that. You may just hit the dead end and then it's over. So that's why it's important to take the victory now. Take it now while it's in front of you. It's like I'm gonna quote a movie, Troy. You see that beach? That beach is your victory. Take it. It's yours. Zach, I saw you on mute for a second. I thought I did.
Yeah, take the beach.
Take at the beach.
Man, I was just thinking about something that we were speaking about, the ego, and you know how she was like somebody leaves and then when they try to come back, it's even harder to get somebody up there, and almost in the sense of that ego that ultimately wants to keep somebody from hurting themselves again, or trying to insulate themselves from shock or trauma that one has, and I think that's even in the show. I know that's in the show Hoarding, where somebody might hoard certain food or they might hoard certain things because they feel like they need these things in order to keep themselves safe, right? Or even certain that we look at the foods that we eat. Somebody might hoard food because now it helps to regulate some of their emotions or some of their past traumas. And again, it just comes down to you can't run from the storm. The more that one starts to run from the storm and they think that they're victorious because I'm not going through that, and because I'm not going through that, that's almost like that illusion of victory. Because I'm not going through it, because I'm not dealing with it, I'm victorious for today. Or because I now have flushed something down the toilet, and because I don't see it, then ultimately I'm victorious. But meanwhile, the water's not going down the toilet. But there seems to be a problem. There seems to be some type of backup where now it's prolonged to get this thing to flush. And it's not flushing like it used to, but it's still going down. I just have to stand here a little longer. But meanwhile, it just keeps building up until now I have to call the plumber. Now I have to call a rabbi. Now I have to call them. Now I have to lean on them. And I was like, man, what have you done? Why? There was a whole manual that came with this. You chose to now avoid it. You chose to do your own thing. You chose to make certain decisions and certain choices that you knew because we work hard for our situations. We work hard and knew that this is the path this is about to lead to. But because now I wanted to avoid that storm, I wanted to avoid that pain, I wanted to avoid that conversation that I was ultimately going to have with somebody because I would have to deal with some of the things that I did, or maybe I just only want to remain a victim because I find great power in being a victim, and that person is not going to give me the apology that I've always wanted. So it's easier for me to just avoid things. As opposed to me running, you know what? I'm not going to avoid this storm anymore. I'm not going to run from this storm anymore. Let's get it over. Let me go through let me deal with myself. Let's put up the picture of all of the things that I've done so that I can start to deal with it, and I can hold myself accountable so I can come out anew. So I can come out with the strength and the wisdom that I need to have better relationships with those who I call family. That I can have a better relationship with even myself, in the way that I speak to myself, in the way that I see myself, in the way that I get up in the dawn. I can have a better relationship with the people where I go to work. I can have a better relationship with just anybody that I come in contact with, but I have to go through it. And I can't avoid it. And I can't keep now trying to celebrate some false victory when ultimately that victory is going to be fleeting and fading as quick as it came. That's how quick it's going to go. But it's a matter, again, of am I going to accept the pain of discipline? You're going to accept one or two pain. I'm saying again, it's either the pain of regret or the pain of discipline, but you're going to have to endure. Now, what are you choosing to do in this moment? What are you choosing to be in this moment? How many times have you heard Chief say, power is in the moment? Your victory is in this moment. What are you choosing to do in this moment? What are you choosing to be in this moment? Are you willing to take the step to say, you know what, I trust that this bridge that was built is going to hold my weight? trust that I'm just going to keep running around chasing my tail and wondering why things are not working out, wondering why I still can't have a decent relationship with the people in my life. It must be them. I'm a victim here.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally fine if that's the route that you want to take. But if you're ready to grow, and if you're ready to take the bull by the horn and say, you know what, I'm ready to be accountable for my life, and I'm ready to do what I was called to do, well, the choice is yours.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think you said it, but we work hard for our situations. That's good and bad. You know what you're working for. There's a lot of things that we gain in this journey, and it's like we worked hard for it, and then to come to find out we were playing somebody else's game, but you worked hard for it. So work hard for what is right. Work hard for what is actually true. When it's been revealed to us, we know it when we see it. We know it when we feel it, right? So work hard for that. It's right in front of our faces. I think we got a quote, Akizak, for our new merch. You're gonna feel one of two pains. What do you choose? Pain of regret or pain of what was it? Pain of obedience? I done messed up the quote.
Who gonna wear that on their hat, man?
I didn't say a hat. It could be a T-shirt or a mug.
That's who's got to be a 3X.
We could
All from the front to the back.
we could tweak it.
Collarbone.
We could tweak it.
Keep reading.
We could tweak
Get
it.
to the end.
Have the arrow. Turn around. Read the back. Okay, we clean it up. We clean it up. We work on it. Welcome, Abba Haru. Welcome.
Well, wait. So there's one thing.
Y'all got me looking crazy in the park. Good, Abba Haru.
You know what? That was good. I hit the darn wrong button when he did that one. Darn it. But I was actually going to build off of what I think Zach was saying. That if you don't take the instructions, if you don't like, we are blessed to have Chief, and we're blessed to have one another in space. And one of the things that I realized that if you don't take that wise advice, if you don't utilize that, you have one or two options. You either take the wise path, the path for that correction, because you're right. Victory is about. It's about sacrifice. It's also about you gotta let it go. If not, the world will give you another version, and it's not gonna be pretty. So you have a choice, like Zach was saying. You got to face it. It's going to come sooner or later. And so when you're facing it and when you have to deal with it, you have a choice. And most people choose to not face it. They rather allow life to create it for them, to the point where now it's harder. Now the waves, like Chief was saying earlier, okay, the boat is closed now. Now you want to try to get it. You're behind. You waited so long. The pressure is building up. Everything is building, and so now you want some cover. You want to have some support now, but then you ignored that support. You ignored that advice. You ignored those warnings. You ignored those moments when you could have corrected it. And so victory, like you just shared, it's about, are you going to take on the task? Are you going to utilize that task at the moment? Or are you just going to fall away and let the world succumb you? And then when it does, it's not going to be pretty. In other words, you're either going to take the initiation from that butt kicking now, or you're going to get it worse later. So I just wanted to add that as we build from this. This is a great topic, and give thanks to the building.
Give thanks, Abba Haru. Thank you for joining. you said something that reminded me of our study session about, and it was about the way, like the path and the way that we take. And it was, I think it was Psalms 139, 20, not, we have to look at 23 to 24, but this part was in 24. And see if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. So it's that idea of like the path that we're taking leading us to victory. What is that path? What is that road? Um, how do we show up as the passenger, while we're on that road and traversing? So give thanks. Does anyone have anything else? Give thanks to everyone who is in the chat on YouTube. Yes, Georgina, to be the victor. That's what we want. So be the victor. It's there. The formula is there. We know the formula. We've been given the formula. All we got to do is follow it. So give thanks, everyone. So with that, if there is nothing else, I am going to close down the room because I can't feel my toes. And give thanks, everyone, for starting off this strong and joining on this first day. This is going to be a victorious week. And as you said in the chat, this dawning, like you said, we're going to dominate it. Dominate it, everyone. Give thanks. Have a blessed day. Have a great rest of your first day. Enjoy it. If it's sunny, if it's raining, just go through it. Peace.
Peace. Give thanks.
Give thanks. Georgina, we'll be looking for your application later today. Bye.